Welcome to Austin Eras, the podcast that unravels Austin's transformation into a 21st century boomtown and explores its potential future. Brought to you by Collective Advisors, Austin Eras takes you on a journey through the city's evolving landscape and rich history, offering insights into its dynamic past, present, and future.
Welcome to the Austin Eras podcast. I'm your host, Adam Flagg, and I have our guest for this week, Jennifer Crosby. She's the founder and director of For the Love of Go, a Central Texas nonprofit focused on building healthier communities through movement. She's a former TxDOT employee and a lifelong Texan. Jennifer transformed personal frustration with unhealthy school fundraisers into a community-wide wellness movement. Since its founding, For the Love of Go has organized over 250 races for schools, churches, and civic groups, becoming a cornerstone in Kyle, Texas's identity and an advocate for suburban health equity. Known for her quote, "I'm running from my genetics," Jennifer blends mission, movement, and legacy into every mile. She lives in Kyle with her family, her husband Todd, and her son Jacob, who's now a rising junior at Stephen F. Austin University. In her free time, she directs up to 30 races a year and remains passionate about making movement accessible to all. Welcome to the podcast, Jennifer.
Thank you. That sounds so good.
Well, you're welcome to use the bio. I really enjoyed getting to know you in this process.
Yeah, thank you.
And I really thank Andy McAdams for connecting us.
Shout out to Andy.
Andy's been a early adopter of our podcast and a good listener, and I know you have too.
Yes.
And he told me about you and really just being involved in the running movement in the Austin area it's this thing. Actually, I think one of our first podcasts, we talked about all the running groups and everything that are happening. What got you into running? What brought you into this whole thing?
So I started running when I was in junior high.
Okay.
And then all through high school. Last part of my high school, I had knee problems, was told I needed surgery and to not run anymore.
Oh, no.
Went to college, didn't run all through college.
Okay.
And then went on to graduate school, worked in a preschool where I was up and down on my knees all the time. And at that point, the first solution for knee problems wasn't surgery. It was physical therapy, which was the greatest thing that could have happened to me and completely transformed the way I looked at physical activity. So started running again, graduate school, got married, off and on ran until Jacob was born. Didn't really run up until Jacob was born. And then we just were trying to survive, going back and forth from Lockhart to Austin for work every day. And along the way, my husband, this is a kind of a funny story. Do you remember Biggest Loser?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I would try to get Todd to help me pick out healthy things to eat and trying to exercise, and he wouldn't have anything to do with it. Okay, we didn't even have 2 pennies to rub together, right? He comes home from work one day, and he had put $50 into a pool at work. They were doing a Biggest Loser contest.
Okay.
I was like, $50? That's like diapers and formula. What are you thinking? I was so mad. But that also transformed our lives because he was in it to win. Like, he wanted to win the pool. So all of a sudden he cared about what we were cooking and exercising and all of those things. And he signed up for his first 5K to hold him accountable. I was mad, again, because that was like $25.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
like, what are you thinking? He went, and I remember this so clearly because it was also a major point in our marriage where, like, I just had this epiphany. So he went to go run. I think it was called Texas Toughest Trail. I think it was at St. Stephen's Episcopal here in town.
Sure, right up the road, yeah.
He went to go run that, and I took Jacob. I was so mad. They had at the Lady Bird Wildflower Center, it was like you could get in for free. So I'm like, Jacob and I are going to go do something together as a family while you're off spending our money. And I go down there, and then the whole time we're down there, I felt so guilty. I was like, here, I've been wanting him to help, and then now he's helping, even though it's not the way I would want him to help. So when he came home, he had a great experience, and so we decided that we were going to start taking turns with who would get to run in a race.
Okay.
The next month was June, and we had the Chisholm Trail 5K in Lockhart. I think that was their first year. We recently found out that was their first year. We didn't even know we were
You just happened to be there.
I pushed Jacob in an umbrella stroller, came across that finish line, and my first thought was, I can do that faster.
Huh.
And so then, back then, all of the races were usually in the Austin area. No one was really doing a lot, like there weren't 5Ks all over the place like there are now.
Uh-huh.
And so that, like, we just, every month, a different one of us would pick going to run a race. And Jacob's first probably 1 mile was the next year. We went back to the Texas trail, and I did the 1 mile with him on the trail. Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning, Jennifer. Let's go even earlier than you getting into running. You were born in Dallas. You grew up in George West. Mm-hmm. So that's a person's name that's also a city? I've never heard of this place.
Okay. So funny you asked that, because I tried to do a whole little trail of fun things when the cousins were all going to be down there, because my grandma still lives there. And George West isn't that cool of a guy. He just donated money for the railroad so he could get his cattle on the train when he wasn't doing the cattle drives up to Montana.
And that's how the town got its name. And it's a small town.
It's a small town.
Okay.
Like 2,600 people, maybe, I think still. A lot of ranchers, really in the heart of like the fracking, with Kennedy and Karn City, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's pretty boring down there.
So you've been, though, in like 5, 6, 7 cities around Texas in your life. So you move from place to place.
Yes.
And currently you're in Kyle, Texas.
Yes.
Which is, to me, always known for the gathering of Kyles.
Yeah.
But
which is so funny, because that's only just like the last few years.
You get a bunch of people named Kyle in one place. I get it. So Kyle, Texas. So this is Austin Eras, and you're our first guest to come from a southern suburb
Thank you
of
for
Austin.
Including us.
I'm excited because that's, I think we're going to try to talk about different cities as we go along: Bastrop, Leander, Cedar Park. And I think you're an interesting ambassador and representative for Kyle. You've been there how long?
About 15 years.
So what got you to Kyle?
We had lived in Onion Creek for about a year and a half. Really felt like we didn't want Jacob going to an Austin school. To us, it seemed so huge. Todd grew up in a small town in Georgia. I grew up in South Texas.
Yeah.
And so we looked at Buda, we looked at Kyle. The bottom had just dropped out of the economy, 2009.
That sounds right.
About the time we paid off all of our debt, which was great for us because we were able to buy a house in Plum Creek, which had an elementary school. I had one rule. Either I wanted to be able to walk to a park or walk to buy a jug of milk. Because when Jacob was 4 or 5, that's what we were driving to do the most of, was going to find a park. Like we did a lot of Zilker Park, and like we'd be driving by, and if we saw a playscape or anything, we'd stop and pull over and go play on that. It didn't matter where we were, Austin, Buda, Kyle, whatever. The other thing was, when we were in Onion Creek, we had a hard time, probably this was before Facebook. So there weren't like Facebook groups like, hey, we're going to the park to play. So we would go to the park every day at Onion Creek and could never find kids. So when we started looking, we would literally look in people's backyards to see, do they have a trampoline? Do they have little Tykes toys? Do they have, are there balls in the front yard? And Plum Creek did. Literally the street we live on, like at the time. Now all those kids are grown. They're all graduated from high school, and it was 4 doors down from the playground, which was right next to the swimming pool, which was right next to the elementary school, which was right next to where he was going to go to after-school care. Yeah. So it was like the perfect family place. Could we have found that in Austin? Probably. But our whole base camp had been Lockhart for so long. We were more South Austin-centric. So we did a lot of stuff, like South Park Meadows, going to Lady Bird Lake, the trail. We were on the trail all the time.
How does Kyle fit into the Austin spirit? Where do you see Kyle going next from a city standpoint?
So Kyle is working really hard at developing a trail system. They're working really hard on, it's called the Vibe, and they're working really hard, have been for a few years, working on getting easements and those sorts of things in place so that there can be a trail system. Kyle Parks and Rec, I love this. I fangirl every time I'm around them because they are phenomenal at what they do. The park system is fantastic. They're constantly looking for ways to expand that and make the parks better. At Kyle Lake, they're about to start work on installing, I cannot remember the name of what, but it's basically like outdoor exercise equipment. I think they got a grant to do that. Like, I'm just like a regular citizen, like, y'all did that? That's so cool. Thank you. Like anything that gets people outside and off the couch, right? I know that there's a whole biking community. Hayes County Stingers, which is a mountain biking composite group that's for middle school up to high school, and then their parents that are part of that. Like, you just have to ask these kinds of questions to find that, because otherwise you're just cutting through on 35.
Yeah.
And you miss these things that are off to the sides. Lehman High School on the east side of town is doing a huge performing arts center revamp attached to their high school. That's going to bring some programming to the east side. I'm so excited about. Yes, it's frustrating if you moved to Kyle because it wasn't Austin. But if you moved to Kyle like us because you wanted to see what was coming next, we're excited.
Yeah.
Yes, we're excited about the growth.
You should be any suburb in Austin should be ready for Austin to grow to it.
Yes.
I mean, if you think it's not going to, then
you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Every
it's coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if someone was going to take a day trip, say on a weekend to Kyle, what are a couple spots you'd say are like must-do places?
So Steeplechase Park has a Frisbee golf.
Okay.
I'm not a Frisbee golfer, but what I do enjoy is the way the city has built sidewalks that connect not west to east so much, but along corridors. So Todd could go play Frisbee golf while I'm running sidewalks and trails in Steeplechase Park.
Okay.
Go over to the west side, and you've got Greg Clark Park that has a great setup with a ash pavilion, which is like a roller hockey kind of thing, which is pretty cool.
So there's a lot of outdoor stuff.
Yes,
really.
yes. And what I've been really happy to see, because I like to run, is anytime that we can have safe places for us to run. So sidewalks, I can start in Plum Creek, run all the way to town, go all the way back over into Cypress Forest and running down into Six Creeks before I turn around and come back up into Plum Creek. And I've done like 6 or 7 miles and haven't repeated any roads. That's my favorite thing. Like, give me a sidewalk. Like, I want to run in the road, but give me a sidewalk so that I can just keep going.
So let's say you go, you do some running, you do some roller hockey, you enjoy the outside. Where are we going for refreshments? Where are we going for entertainment?
Okay, so like the world famous, of course, is the Texas Pie Company.
Okay.
And they have more than pies. So I would encourage anyone who's coming to the Kyle area around lunchtime, head over there. The salads, the quiche, the pot pie, the sandwiches, and then, of course, get a slice of pie. Or any of their mini little bars that they make, like the Rice Krispie treats and that sort of stuff. So good. So good. There are so many, which makes my heart so happy, Tex-Mex places. So I started a queso club. That's of COVID. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So we started out once a month. We were going to try to find the best queso in town. Well, by the third month, we forgot what the first two were. So we're like, let's just go out every month somewhere new. And if we end up repeating, that's fine too, and have queso. So you've got Vaqueros in downtown Kyle. You've got Pisces that's been there for forever. Over on the east side, Taquerias. Like, it's so good. I can eat Tex-Mex. This is why I run.
You run for the Tex-Mex.
For Tex-Mex and Texas Pie Company.
Okay, so that's now I want to learn a little bit more about how you got. So you told me you got back into running through Todd and through Biggest Loser and all this stuff. But now I want to understand, how did you start For the Love of Go? Because this is something you're in Plum Creek, you're in Kyle, and you just decide all of a sudden, hey, I want to start hosting races?
No. So as with most ideas, right? Like, it starts out as like this little kernel, and then how did we even get to where we are today? I never imagined this. So because Todd and Jacob and I were participating in races, we would turn those races into road trips. Because we were doing that frequently, we started collecting our bibs, the numbers you wear on the front when you're running. We would collect if one of us actually placed and won a medal. Fast forward a couple years, Jacob's about to start kindergarten, and the PTA at Negley was putting on their first 5K.
Okay.
We watched it. Todd ran in it. And when he finished, he said a few things that could have been better. We heard some people when they were finishing say some things that could have been better. And my love was when we were able to participate in races where I felt safe with Jacob running next to me or pushing him in the stroller. So to hear people finishing and frustrated with how the PTA put it, I was like, oh, breaks my heart because I want people to finish me like, we're coming back. That was so much fun. So I signed up for the PTA. I swear I was like, I'm not going to join anything. I'm just going to be a mom because I worked full time in Austin and had very little time with Jacob whenever I got home.
Yeah.
But I signed up. I thought, I can help with this. So first day of first grade, when they do, what do you want to help with? I signed up for PTA. And then it goes several months and no one says anything about the race. And so then I bring it up. And now those ladies that were in that group are part of my board, which is so funny when we look back on them. We're like, I can't believe that's how we started. So I signed up to help with the 5K. And I was like, y'all can come over to my house and we can do it. And I'm like preparing for an interview. So I get out all of our bibs and our awards and the notes I've taken. And they look and they're like, can you just be in charge? And I don't want to step on anybody's toes. They're like, there are no toes to step on here.
You
are
have
the all
one.
the toes.
Yeah.
You have all the toes. Yes. So we put on that first race and it was a blast. And I thought that was going to be it. Like I really thought, check, did my PTA duty. But then they're like, okay, now I'll do next year and the next year. And by the second or third year, then the neighborhood also put on 5Ks and they asked if I would help with those. Brandy Otto was one of my first supporters. She still lives in Plum Creek and was like, do whatever you want. This is your canvas, whatever you want to try. So we would try all sorts of new stuff at races, like how our routes went, what we did with volunteers, all of that. I always thought that would be it with the 5Ks. I really thought our focus was going to be on helping schools with doing fitness clubs.
Yeah,
more
sure.
so.
Okay.
But that didn't happen. People were more interested in 5Ks. And then it just exploded. I'm still waiting for it to fall off on the other side.
Yeah.
But people started using it, they use them as fundraisers, which is not really what For the Love of Go is about. But if you want to raise funds for your school and it means we're getting kids off of the couch, as opposed to them taking home the cookie dough orders and the candle orders and the bread braids and all of that, then you can raise money. Just give me a safe starting line that I can get kids out there running, adults out there running.
Okay, so you've been doing this for a while, and you directed over 250 races. You have a bunch more slated for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. What's a day in the life look like then when you're saying, hey, I've got the endurance down, I do this? How does the day start? How does it end when you direct a race?
I try to do as much prep work as I can so that on Saturday morning when I am waking up, everything is already in the van except the last little bag of like the radios that I was charging overnight or whatever. I usually wake up early enough that I'm going through what my drive is going to be on the way there because I'm usually dropping off water stations on my way to the start line. We have a hard and fast rule, so whatever time the race starts, setup starts 2 hours before, which means I have to be done dropping off whatever I'm going to drop off to be at the starting line by 2 hours before. Okay. We say, if you beat me there, I promise you I'm on my way. Like, I'm coming. I'm probably 2 blocks away setting up, waiting for the raccoon to move before I set up the
Sounds like that's happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Javelinas, snakes, dogs. Like, there's all sorts of stuff that you see out and about on some of these back roads when we're running races. Yes. So I'm usually dropping off water stations on the way in. Sometimes I'll have specialty signs that I've made, and I know exactly where they need to go, so it's faster if I drop those, like stay right, rough track, speed hump, those sorts of things. Get to the race start line. I open all the doors of the van, and we have the most amazing volunteers. Some of them are longtime volunteers. Some of them it's their first time, and I just tell them, pick that up and move it over there. We unload everything from the van while that's happening. One crew is taking all of our signs. We say we hold everything together by zip ties and duct tape. It's actually gaffer's tape. So we have wooden signs that are held together by zip ties up at the top.
Okay.
So we've got a couple guys will take all of those with my turn by turn, and they go set up the course. Well, I've got a crew. A lot of times we have 2 or 3 that are high school students that are getting community service hours. Hasty ISD, I'm not sure how Austin does it. Hasty ISD now requires that graduating seniors have 40 hours of community service.
That's impressive.
From their freshman year to senior year, regardless of whether they're in a club that requires it, which is a boon for us because we'll get those kids as freshmen. They learn what we need them to do, and then I mean, there's one kid, his name is Angel, and he will show up and he just right away, he knows that we sort things here for registration, we sort things here for refueling, we sort things here for the finisher shoot. I don't even have to tell him anymore. And so if there's a new person, I'll say, Angel, will you get Freddie to help you with that? And now Freddie is trained in how to do that. So we set all those things up, and I try to have the bulk. It's like getting ready for a party, right?
Yeah.
Like it starts at 7, let's say, but I want everything as much in place by 6 as possible because people are coming to get their packets and bathrooms have to be unlocked, all of that. And then people want to come and talk to me. Or they don't, and I'll find out later they were there, and I'm like, why didn't you come say it? You looked busy. I'm always busy, but I can stop. Like, come talk to me.
Yeah.
But that's typically what it looks like. And then while I'm doing the awards, that same crew that was there that morning, they usually ran the race, and then they're already starting to put equipment by the van. If it's our longtime helpers, they already know the game of Tetris, and they start putting it back in there. If they haven't played the game, they wait till I'm done, but everything's staged, and I just tell them what goes in next. And then we always think, oh, we'll go out for breakfast after. There's no place you can get in for breakfast on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, you can't just walk into Dan's Hamburgers in Buda.
You're early birds. You could have done it if you weren't doing a race.
I know,
but if you
right?
Were, yeah.
Yes. So we usually all go our separate ways, and I will go home. And my brother taught me this. I'd get home about 10 o'clock, and I'd tell myself I just needed to eat a snack. And then I'd just be beat the rest of the day. And my brother said, Jennifer, 10 o'clock for you is like noon for everybody else. You need to eat lunch when you get home and then have a snack 2 hours later. It completely changed my nutrition.
Interesting.
Like, I don't think about nutrition for a race, like for a race directing day. I'm not running, but I am active from 4 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock.
Wow. Okay, so you're really busy. You do this. You do a lot of these. You still make time for yourself. You still have a full-time job. Mm-hmm. So you have all these things going on. But I guess I'm most curious about what's kept you going, because this is a lot to continuously do every single time. These community races, they're amazing. You're having a big impact. So let's talk a little bit about the mission for the Love of Go and really what's driving it.
This is my favorite part. So, like, I get goosebumps even thinking about it, is kids who are graduating now have never known a school year that they didn't have a 5K or some kind of exercise challenge or something on their campus, whether it was a 5K or I think the company is Apex Booster, where they run laps to raise money, or maybe their PE coach, like Coach Leger at Fuentes Elementary, does a full Frisbee golf club on campus. Like, kids don't know any different than the activities that's what happens on. So that is a huge win for me when I'm hearing about these kids that are doing this. The kids that go off to college and then they come back to run Miss Jennifer's race. That's just the best.
Oh, that is the best.
And then when you hear these stories, like someone will bring someone up to me and say, this is her first 5K ever. I'm like, and you picked mine? Thank you that you picked mine. You had so many to choose from. I'm so glad you picked mine. Or people will use our race as a milestone for themselves when they're coming back from an injury, catastrophic injury. We have 2 people right now. One of them had a stroke in August, early 50s, very active female, and she had a stroke in August. She was training for rock and roll marathon. So she and her husband had to shift from we're training for a marathon to we are just training for life. Mm-hmm. And she is running 5Ks again. And like the whole community has surrounded her. They've done YouTube. It's Below's Running. They do they document everything on YouTube. You start feeling bad about yourself. You're like, oh, I can't do hard things. And then you watch Rosie, and she's doing the hard things. Like, everything is harder for her, but she's doing it. And joy. There's so much joy in that family. And it gets you excited. Like, this is so cool. And so there are people who recognize her on the course now. And so they're cheering for her by name, and she'll finish, and they'll do shout outs on their videos with people who've been particularly inspiring to them or encouraging to them. So that's cool, getting to see the running community loving on the running community. And then another one was a guy who fell off a ladder at work and broke both of his ankles, and his goal was to come back and run a For the Love of Go race. You're picking a For the Love of Go race to be how you set your next goal. Like, that's so cool. People will ask me for the list at the beginning of the year so they can stick it on their refrigerator and check off the races that they're going to. Like,
You have people that go to all of them or most of them?
yes. So we do a point system.
Okay.
And for every race that you come to, whether you run or volunteer, I give you 100 points. I don't know why 100. It's like, whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
I could have said 1,000 points if you show up. Because I can do all the planning in the world, but if no one comes to the start line, that's a really boring race. Like,
Yeah.
what was the point? So we'll have some, and it's really hard. I get it. It's so hard to pick a For the Love of Go race over another. Like School Fuel in San Marcos, which is an organization that packs lunches for kids for over the weekend when they're dependent upon the free lunches at school. We also have Hayes Hope to Go in Kyle that does the same thing. But School Fuel has their race on the same day as our Negley 5K every year. And every year I know that the people who do School Fuel, who are our regular runners, will send me in, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to do School Fuel. I'm like, do it. Go do it. Like, that's, like, I know that's so hard.
Yeah.
So we collect points, and then our big race that for us is Pie Run, which is in November, which is exactly what it sounds like. You finish running and you get pie.
From the world famous...
No. Toby, our lunch lady, bakes all of these little mini pies from scratch because she wants to hand you a homemade pie. But that is our awards race.
I love this.
So we do pies. So if you come and run, you get a little mini pie that you can take home with you. But then we have all sorts of flavors of pies that you're eating while you're there. But then we have tallied all of the points, and I usually award a world champion because, I mean, there's no other For the Love of Go in the whole world. So we can say world, like we checked.
I like this.
And so we'll give whoever that is something funny. Like one year we gave them a front row seat, and it was one of those stools that collapses. So you could put it wherever so you have a front row seat. One year we gave them their own changing room, and it was like what surfers do, like the big poncho that you put over yourself so you can change your clothes underneath. But we got them their own changing room.
I like it.
Yes.
So very creative for the gifts.
Yes.
So if someone wants more information on For the Love of Go, where do they go?
Okay. You can go to fortheloveofgo.com, or you can go to igotoffthecouch.com.
igotoffthecouch.com?
And then people will say, Jennifer, ain't nobody on the couch as early as you make us get up in the morning. So we also have igotoutofbed.com.
You have all of those websites?
Yes.
I feel like some of those are actually worth a lot.
They all point to the calendar. So you cannot go wrong. So igotoffthecouch.com, igotoutofbed.com, or you can go to fortheloveofgo.com.
And it'll have the full lineup of all the, okay.
Yes.
And we're recording this, springtime, early summer, so there'll be plenty of races throughout the rest of the year.
Yes. Summer, we kind of slow down a bit because it is really logistically complicated to do races in the middle of summer.
Okay.
We lend our hand to Athlete Guild. They put on Dos Rios in New Braunfels, which is a really cool race. You start in one park, run to the tube chute in another park and back. But when you get to the tube chute, if you want, you can go down and ride the tube chute and then run back.
Okay.
So really cool. That one's June 21st. That's always the third weekend in June. And then we do one on July 4th because it's July 4th.
You have to.
You have to.
Yeah.
God bless America. 7:00 in the morning, come and run, and then go home and take a nap, and then you'll be awake for your fireworks in the evening.
It's great.
Yes.
Okay, so you've got a great lineup here. I want to keep talking about this, but I want to take a break. So before we talk about what's next for you and For the Love of Go, we're going to take a quick break for a message from our sponsor. When we come back, we'll explore your vision for the future and how Kyle might grow into its own kind of Austin-era story.
Calling all Austin business professionals and community leaders. Revitalize your after-work plans and let's kick off a new tradition with the Austin Social Circuit. Join us for an evening of networking, great food and drinks, and even better company. Expand your circle, enjoy a laid-back vibe, and connect with like-minded Austinites. It's all happening the first Thursday of each month, with locations alternating between North and South Austin to keep things exciting. This initiative is powered by Collective Advisors. Find out the location of our next gathering and learn more by following Collective Advisors on Instagram and LinkedIn. Bring a friend, share the fun, and strengthen our Central Texas community. See you there, Austin.
Welcome back to the Austin Eras podcast. I'm sitting here with Jennifer Crosby from For the Love of Go, and we just want to get in a little bit more about the racing, the future, Austin, Kyle. One question I've had for you is, what role do you think movement plays in mental health and well-being, especially for kids and families today? I feel like you have a passion for this. What does it mean to you, and where do you think families need to be looking when it comes to this?
So I think any chance you can take to get outside and doing some kind of active movement, riding a bike, going to play games outside, going to a park, whatever that is, you are going to see the benefits in your kids. You're going to see the benefits in yourself. Just basic vitamin D, like getting that into your system, improves your mood, improves your outlook. We joke sometimes that when we're going for a run or a walk, we solve all the problems of the world while we're running or walking.
Feels like it.
And then we finish and we forgot what the solutions were, so we have to try again the next day, and that's okay. Keep trying, keep trying. For me personally, I always say that I'm running from my genetics. My dad passed away about 10 years ago, really poor health. That came from decades of drinking and smoking. Mm-hmm. But then we have some hereditary heart conditions. My mom is diabetic, and I know that is hereditary also, and that you have to watch what you're eating and staying physically active. So I want to be the grandma that is still running around on the trail with my grandkids, right? I want to be the one, like I'll see some of my friends and their moms are going with them to travel out, overseas or whatever. Like I want to be that grandma that is doing that. Yeah. So to do that means I have to be doing something every single day. It's interesting that we are filming in this building because Texas Orthopedic is right here.
Oh, yeah.
We are almost on the 1-year anniversary of my hip surgery that Dr. McDonald did. Changed my life. So this all ties in with this. So I've been running for a long time, had some hip pain, went to PT thinking it was going to be muscular. Nothing was working. Did the MRI, found out I had a labral tear in my hip socket. Still wasn't going to do the surgery because I've never had surgery before. Okay. I was like, I'm not going to do surgery. I'm sure I can figure out how to do this. And Kate, his PA, told me, you are a really great candidate for surgery because you're active and you're doing things like you would do well with recovery on the other side, right? Yeah. I was like, well, how do I know that I should have the surgery? She said, if one day someone asks you to do something and your first thought is, I can't do that because of my hip, you need to call me the next day because we need to schedule your surgery. I'm like, that's fine. I don't have to run anymore. I can walk. I can do body pump. I can do exercises, right? So a couple weeks goes by, and one of my buddies sends me a message to a half marathon where you start in Detroit, run into Canada, and come back.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, we should totally get the whole gang together and do this. And my first thought was, I can't run a half marathon. And I said it out loud, and my husband said, we're calling Kate. So I did, and had the surgery last May on the 18th. And a year in, I am running better than I was before. Who knows how long I had the hip injury and just didn't know it. Yeah. But what I will tell you is the block of time that I could not run or walk because of the recovery was so defeating in my mind. Like it was a psychological dilemma. It's so much so that I told Dr. McDonald that they need to put a byline in their aftercare for the caretakers around the person. Like, it is normal that they will cry. It is normal that they will be sad because you've taken away their physical activity, but remind them that it's coming back. It's coming back. Yeah. So on that, so running from my genetics, but then also what I love to talk about is Racing Minds in Cedar Park, which is another nonprofit that we have I'd say we've helped to start them, but Kelly Jen already had in her mind that she was going to do it. She just needed the support for how to do it. So we played 20 questions. I told her what For the Love of Go does. She does this in Cedar Park, and she is a licensed counselor in the school system. And so her whole take is on that question you just asked, specifically on the mental health. Like, why is this important? Because she sees it every day. Kids who are physically active, it improves everything. Their grades, their studies, their reading, their mindset, just being physically active. And it doesn't have to be running.
Yeah.
Her kids are swimmers. You know, we've got people who come and ride bikes, people who do Zumba, people who do, whatever. But just do something. Just get up, walk to the end of the parking lot and back. If that's all you can do, then that's better than sitting at your desk, right? Like, take a break.
Don't remind me. Yeah, it's really easy to not get your steps in. But
yeah.
I remember when COVID hit and I felt trapped in the house, I started running in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I'd run treadmills, but I'd never really been an outdoor runner. And there's a difference when you get outside versus a treadmill. And it's addicting. Now, I know I can't just do it all the time because my body's going to die. But it's so enjoyable. I love doing it at night.
Yes.
You got to put on enough protective gear, reflective gear. But when you're at night and it's so quiet, it's just the most peaceful thing.
And
I think that's
getting to
so
run from one place to another. So the little strip along 1620 or 2770, there's Plum Creek, which is Kyle, but across the street is Barton Middle School and Hayes High School, which is Buda, like literally across the street. And then you run into Mountain City, which is its own city.
I didn't even know that was a city.
So if you come to a 4:30 a.m. run group on Tuesday or Thursday, sometimes we run to Mountain City and back, which is about 3 miles. It's like 1.5 miles there and 1.5 miles back. But you're running from Kyle to Buda to Mountain City and back. And it sounds like you ran so
trip.
far.
Yeah.
Yes, you ran so far.
I love it. No, I really do. And I love having you on here because I think that fitness is such a thing in Austin. I think it's talked about. A lot of people participate, but there's a lot of people that don't. And the fact is, getoffyourcouch.com, is that what it is?
I got off the couch.com.
I got off the couch.com. Like, it truly is something. It's a movement that we need the movement for the movement.
And Austin has so many great places to go do that. Even if you don't go on the trail, like the side, like the little, what's that hill down at next to Palmer, and the sidewalk goes in a spiral up to the top. I can't remember the name of that hill, but when Jacob was little, we would run hill repeats up. And we would tell them, watch out for the walkers, because there were people who would walk all the way up to the top and walk back down. Like it's so easy to do that. And all the little parks in Austin, like I can't remember, is it Peace Park where the big troll is right now? Like go see that. Like go for a walk. Take your family. Go see that.
There's
the
many good reasons.
We're like right here at the Greenbelt. This is amazing. How come you don't go run every day, Adam?
I put on my gear for this show, and I'm going to do it after this, actually. Okay. So I'm curious if someone listening wanted to start their own wellness initiative for their own town. I mean, you had gotten involved in Kyle, you'd done a lot of things, you still do. Where should they begin? Like, how would you start your own wellness initiative?
So I think you have to have a friend who will hold you accountable. So when we started our run group, which we'd been directing for a few years when we started run group, I would just go run whenever I could. I would say I was going to run when I got home from work, which usually did not happen. So one of the things that I say is the only part of your day you control is when it starts. So that means you have to wake up earlier than you think you would normally need to, right? And sometimes that's a training exercise in and of itself. I say that I have this 4:30 a.m. run group. I didn't wake up one day and I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and get ready and go for a run at 4:30. No. But I had a friend who said, will you please hold me accountable? And twice a week, will you meet me and let's run? I'll start at whatever time. Well, I worked in Austin, so I had to leave my house by 6 to get to work, which meant I have to back up the clock, right, all the way. And so 4:30 a.m. was born. She ran with us, and then somebody else heard that we were running on Tuesday, Thursday, and they had to be at work early. They're like, well, I'll meet you. And at one point before COVID, we had 9 to 10 people that were coming on Tuesday, Thursday. I think what COVID gave everybody the ability to do was figure out that you could just get up and go for a run. You didn't have to go to a gym. You didn't have to go to a class. I mean, you can, that's great, but you could just get up and go for a run. So that, I would say, that run group is what has kept For the Love of Go going, because that core group of runners who will come to those races. So in a similar point, so like if you're going to do Camp Gladiator, or if you're going to do a social run, like you can do it by yourself. It's a whole lot more fun when you have somebody with you.
Yeah.
So if it becomes like a thing, like you may only see that person. We joke we don't recognize each other in the daylight. Like if anybody sees me right now, they're like, who is that? Because my hair's on in a ponytail and I don't have my hat on. Like,
it's like the vampire running group. I like this. Yes,
exactly. So I would say the number one thing is find someone who will come along with you. And then beware of the you shoulds, right? So whatever your goal is it just that you want to be more consistent in running or walking or exercising? I do body pump at the Y. Mm-hmm. And what got me started going was I had a girlfriend that would meet me and she could get there before I could. And so I knew she was saving me a spot. Like I knew she was expecting me to be there. So if I wasn't going to come, I would have to take the time to text her and then be prepared for however she might feel, right? Like, because she would have rearranged things to get there just as much as I was. So for me to say, oh, I just don't feel it today.
Accountability
I'm not going to go. You know, she'd be like, but I already have your bench set up. So you're going to have to come and put up your own bench then. Because
Well, speaking of body pumping the Y, you're wearing a YMCA Camp Moody shirt
I am.
Now. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I've heard about Camp Moody. Obviously, the Moody family has the naming rights to pretty much all of Austin, the entire area. What's the story?
Thank goodness for Moody, right? Like we get all these great things in the arts with music,
so many
and
things.
Then with art in Houston, and then the outdoors. So what I really love is that I got to ride through Camp Moody when it was just a gravel road, when the Y was first beginning to figure out what they were going to do with this property. I don't remember what the combination was, whether it was a full donation from the Moody family or was it purchased with Moody family donations, or I don't know what the financial part was. I just know that for a long time it was just land by the river, because my son and my husband were in Scouts and they would do campouts out there, like primitive camping, right? Sure. So then over the years, and I can't remember. I mean, the shirt says established 2018. So at some point, they built a natatorium, and that's where the local high schools do their swim team and their water polo. So you drive onto the campus. Speed limit is 10 miles an hour, but you really should just coast in there because deer are going to come across. Like it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere.
It's that dense.
It is so dense, so much wooded area, and you can go to the natatorium. And they have posted hours for swimming. My husband goes there. He works across 35 from there. So he works out at that Y. I work out at the one over off of 1626. But there's a small workout facility. All of that's great. But the crown jewel is their trail system. And they're always expanding the trail system. They do day camps out there. They've got a whole ropes course for camps that they have out there. I'm pretty sure, though I'm not in any of the planning board, but I'm pretty sure that they are still planning to do cabins out there at some point. Again, don't be like, Jennifer Crosby said, we can camp at the Y.
We're just going to quote that for the podcast. Don't worry. It'll be the pull quote.
But, I mean, it's the Y, right? So they're always looking for ways to get people outside and active, right? Like that's what their mission statement is. But we tried to do some trail runs out there. So Buda Elementary is right next door, and the Y was fantastic. And we said, hey, could we run from the school into the trail system and then back to the school? Which for a hardcore runner, that's awesome. But for families pushing strollers and with their kids who maybe haven't run more than a mile, that was a little bit of a stretch. We tried it for a few years and it didn't really work out. But I recommend anyone, like if you take your kid for swim lessons, put on your walking shoes and go walk down to those trails, because it's like you're walking in the middle of nowhere.
That's amazing.
So, yes.
I have one more running question, then I want to talk a little bit about Austin.
Okay.
This one I didn't preview with you. It is a random question, but I'm just curious for someone that likes to run as much as you. If you could host a run anywhere in the entire world, where would it be and why?
In the entire world?
The entire world, not even Texas. We're talking everywhere.
Okay. There's this little community in Virginia called Clifton Forge. It's part of a railroad community. One of my friends from college lives there. Very hilly. I love hills.
Do you? I don't. The elevation gain is so
bad. I love
bad.
hills so much that people hate it when I'm designing a course because they swear I like pump up the hills.
Oh, no.
But it is beautiful. Like you're in this little bitty mountain community, and if I could stage a 5K there, I totally would do it. But if it weren't there, I would do a 5K on Daisy Lane in Kyle, which is so hilly. It's ridiculous. Like that's where we go to do hill training.
Well, I hope maybe you get your wish someday.
Maybe one day. I've set it into the universe.
How do you influence what's happening in Kyle, Buda, that whole area down there in terms of not letting it become too difficult to do races in the outer suburbs of Austin?
So first I would say relationships. Second, I would say consistency. And then third, understanding that sometimes you just can't beat it.
Yeah.
So relationships, I am so grateful for the relationships we built over the years with City of Kyle, City of Buda, City of San Marcos, the officers. There's a couple of officers that tell me, look, if you think you need traffic control, just call me. If I'm not working, I'll just come and I'll help you with traffic control so it doesn't charge the school. Like I'll just come, y'all are a nonprofit, you donate back into the community, like we'll just come. There's sometimes that an officer's on duty and they know we just need for 10 minutes while everybody crosses that first street. And so they'll make sure that they're there for that 10 minutes. So relationships, consistency, the reason we have those 30 races is because it's the same 30 races every year. It may fluctuate if someone drops off, but I always have a wait list and someone is coming back on. But it's like Negley is always the first Saturday in March. Pie Run is always the second Saturday in November. So it's not I'm not changing the date every year. So in your neighborhood, there's a 5K that's going to be the third Saturday in September. So your neighborhood begins to recognize that, and it's part of the culture of your neighborhood. Shady Hollow, I think it is, off of Brody, they do a turkey trot in their neighborhood. Like I'm saying it out loud, they're gonna be like, quit advertising it. It's just like you just show up, and it's like 3 loops, and then you're done. The whole neighborhood, we showed up one time not knowing that's what it was, and there were no restrooms. Someone let us use the restroom in their house. Like
the community of it.
That's just the community. Yeah. So, and then the third thing is just recognizing when it's beyond your control. So the whole piece of when a neighborhood gets so big that it's just not safe to have people on the road, either you start earlier, which can help. If you had an 8 o'clock race, 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning in a busy neighborhood with 2,000 houses, you can't do that anymore.
No.
You may have to start at 7. That's early, but if it means everybody isn't awake yet, right? Or you get creative with where you're using sidewalks and not using sidewalks, or you just up and move it to another location. We are really lucky that we have 5 Mile Dam Park. It's a San Marcos Park on the very south end of Kyle, and the City of San Marcos invested in making a certified 5K route. So there's all sorts of little nonprofits that can come out and host a race with bathrooms, with parking. They leave the park and go into Blanco Vista neighborhood and then come back in. I hire 3 police officers. It can get as big as it needs to get, but
the infrastructure
it's still safe because it's a divided 4-lane road with a bicycle path. So you just look for those.
You got it.
And I think you can't get mad, right? Like part of recognizing that you can't do it is you can't get mad. If expenses go up, you can't get mad. Like it's the cost of things.
Yeah.
So you either find something else to do or you move somewhere else.
That makes sense. So let's talk about Austin now.
Okay.
We've got this Austin podcast. We've been talking about the era of you, what got you here, what got to the area, what Kyle's been like. I'm curious about if you could maintain or keep one weird thing about Austin that's still around. What would it be and why?
So the spray park at next to Palmer Events.
Spray park.
There's I think it's still there.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Is it Butler Spray Park? So it's right next to that hill I'm talking about.
Okay.
So when
we spray paint?
No, like the water,
water
spray park.
spray.
It was like one of the first ones, and it was so weird to us that that's where they put it. But we loved it because it's not attached to a park, right? It's just at the side of Palmer Events Auditorium.
Okay.
And when we lived in Austin, and then even when we moved down to Lockhart, if we were coming into Austin, we had this thing, like always pack, this is helpful for people with little kids, always pack the thing in your vehicle or the diaper bag or the backpack that would be the reason you would have to go home and the fun ends. So for us, change of clothes and a snack.
Yeah.
Right? So we always had a change of clothes in the car. So the first time I remember us doing the spray park, we had run some errands and we were cutting down Barton Springs. And we were like, oh, there's a parking spot right here. Let's go do that. What's it called? The labyrinth, or like one of those things where you walk through the maze. There's one of those next to Palmer Events Auditorium too. So we're like, let's go do that. And so we get out of the car and the spray park was on.
Oh my gosh. And you discovered it.
And
you
Jacob's
had the
in like his shorts and we're like, have at it, kid. We've got to change your clothes in the car. Do it. Play in that. So I hope that never goes away. Like water restrictions and all that. Like I understand all of that, but I hope those spray park type things, because that's another way to get kids outside. I hope that never goes away.
When it's so hot during the summer, you got to have something.
Yes. I would say hope Cap 10K never goes away, because that is like, it's so massive, and yet you can still go do it with some of your buddies. We've got about 15 of us that go, and we all sign up together. We all take pictures at the beginning, and then we go to our different corrals, and then we all are like constantly hunting for each other at the end. There's no cell service, and you're trying to find each other, but you're seeing everybody else. Like, but it's like a thing. Like, are you doing Cap 10K? Like, it's like, where are you from? Are you doing a Cap 10K? Anyway, and it reminds me of when Todd and Jacob and I first started running. We participated in this is why City of Austin says you need to have all these permits, because we can't remember what year it was. It had to have been like maybe 2009, 2010. We can't remember if we were in Kyle yet or not. But I think it was the Heritage Society put on a 5K on Texas Independence Day. So it was on like March 2nd, right? And it started and finished on Congress Avenue Bridge. And I think there were 150 of us. Like,
wow.
There was like nobody. The prizes, if you got back fast enough, I think you got a ball cap to like the first 40 people who came back. It was so chill. Jacob had on his Converse because we were just going to walk until Todd finished. We were just going to walk. And he ran the whole thing. And we look back on that and we're like, we literally, like, they stopped traffic for that. And I don't know, maybe it was because it was on Texas Independence Day, and at that time, all the state, like everything downtown was closed because it was Texas Independence Day. Maybe that's how they got away with it. I don't know. But this podcast, Todd and I started talking about like the races that we used to run. We're like, you couldn't do those anymore because there's so much traffic, and for good reason, right? Like, so one of our rules of thumb is we don't close roads because we don't want to make the neighbors mad. So if we have to start earlier, if we have to make it so that the runners can hop over on the sidewalk, that's fine. But to shut down a whole neighborhood, everybody would just be mad and be like, you can't do that anymore.
So you found a way to kind of remain a community partner and not something the squeaky wheel.
Yes.
So what are some other under-the-radar places or businesses that you like to take guests or you just really enjoy going to when you visit Austin?
Okay. I don't like to stay up late, right? Like, because I wake up so early.
8 p.m.
right?
bedtime,
yes. So what Todd has learned is if there's something we want to do in the evening, like late in the evening in Austin, late for me is after 8 p.m., he probably needs to go ahead and book a hotel room. So we have seen a few concerts at Moody Amphitheater, which is like if someone's coming to Austin, like check the shows, see if you can go see any group sounds amazing at the Moody Amphitheater.
And once again, it's an outdoor theme for you.
Outdoor theme, and so just like I'm also old, so I like to sit down. And maybe it's the concerts we're picking, but we all sit down. We went and saw Alison Krauss and Robert Plant.
You did?
Yes.
Wow.
And we're looking in like such a vast array of ages. And we did not know this when we picked our spot, but we ended up sitting in the old people section. And so everybody stands up for the first song, and the couples around us are like, "Can we sit down now?" We're like, "Yes, we can sit down." Yay! So we've seen them there before. Nickel Creek, like everything sounds so good there. It just sounds so good. So going there, and then you can stay in a hotel and walk. You just walk. And then you walk back. You didn't have to park. You didn't have to find an Uber. I would say, too, to not be afraid of, I get no dollars for this. This is my free tip. It's called the Parking Spot. It's an app.
Yeah,
yes, it's
an
app.
I know about this, yeah.
So the first time I used it, I was like, this is a scam. But we're going to try it. And every time we have used it, it has saved us so much stress because you're pulling right into a parking spot. And I guess they buy up parking spots all over the city. Mm-hmm. And you can even type in whatever event you're going to. So like Captain K. So it used to be that you could park at the TxDOT lots at 150, 200, 118. And then now that TxDOT has moved out of there, now there's an actual parking management company. It used to be free. Now it's like $40. I'm like, I'm not paying $40 to go run the Captain K.
Yeah.
So I Googled cheap parking Captain K, and that's the first thing that came up, and it curates the answers for where to park. And there were all these random places for where to park, and I think we paid $8.
Love it, because it's really hard to find parking in
yes,
Austin for $8.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
We would tell Jacob when he would come in for concerts and go to Emos or Stubbs, and he and his buddies one time parked in free parking and then came out to a boot.
Oh, no.
And we said, always plan that parking's going to cost you $50. Because then if it's more than 50, you're like, I was planning to spend 50, $60 isn't that big a deal. If it's less, you're like, we made off like a bandit, but at least you're planning for 50.
Yeah.
I would say that as Austin grows, that is probably the thing that determines whether I'm going to go do something is if I can find parking. So I go to Fleet Feet a lot at Seahome. And I know I can find parking because they have the Seahome garage right there, which is fantastic. And you can validate your parking at Fleet Feet or Trader Joe's. So yes, so that's my tip.
Is Fleet Feet your go-to place for Austin running?
Yes. So there's the store at Seahome, mm-hmm. and so they host a lot of community social runs. Really approachable. Like you can show. I've gone there before and gone with people who were walking. I've gone and I've run, and they host a lot of things that then go out on the trail. But then Audie Perez also has one at Circle C, which is really great for people on the south side because now you can just take the toll road up. Yeah. Which maybe that's not so great because I have a lot of running shoes. But I'm going to give a shout out for Fleet Feet. So you asked me what someone should do if they wanted to start, right? One of the first things I say is shoes. You need to make sure your shoes are good. Don't pull out the shoes that you've been wearing every day for a year because they're not going to be substantial, and then your knees are going to hurt and you're going to think it's because, I can't run because my knees hurt. Maybe. But maybe it's your shoes. So if you go to Fleet Feet, they scan your foot. Have you been to Fleet Feet?
I've done a different one on Far West. I forgot the name of the running place.
Similar concept.
Yeah.
So you take off your shoes and you stand on this scanner and they scan your feet. And then Fleet Feet also has a mat that you walk on so it can watch your foot strike. And then like this magic happens, like there's somebody on the back end. I think it's a computer.
Probably a computer.
And it analyzes your foot, and then it makes suggestions about what kind of shoes you should wear for running or for walking. I recently took a friend of mine in there, our friend Paul, who is deaf, who's one of our regular runners in his 50s, was going to go to Europe with his mom and her travel group, and he needed walking shoes. So I took him in there, and they fit him for shoes that were different than what he runs in, because we knew with the cobblestone, like the different places he was going to go, it was going to be more uneven. So they put him in some more squishy walking shoes. That's awesome to me. Like you walk in and you say, here's my very special need.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, here's what you need. Try this out. They have a 30-day return policy. So you go in there today and you buy a pair of shoes and you take it out for a run and you get a blister. You maybe try something different, put some anti-chafing on your shoes, maybe try it, or on your feet, maybe try a different sock. You go out again, blisters again. You take them in there, so they're all dirty, right? Because you tried them out on the trail, but they're only 2 weeks old. You go in, and they will put the cost of that towards the next pair of shoes. Or if you're like, I hate running, I'm never doing this again, they'll say, oh, please give it another chance, but here's your money back if you really want your money back.
That's a pretty incredible return policy.
So there's no reason
yeah.
you shouldn't go and try it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Adi is he's so approachable. You walk in, all of his employees, you walk in, they're like, what you doing this weekend? Like, you already feel like you're friends with them.
Yeah.
And then they're not, like, some of them are hardcore runners. Some of them are jog runners, like conversational joggers. But you would never know, like, they're going to treat you the same. My mom is not a runner, but we get her to walk, so she goes to Fleet Feet, and she gets her shoes from Fleet Feet. And if she goes to a different Fleet Feet, she'll message me. Is Audie going to get credit for this if I go to this one? Like, yes, Mom. Yes, he will. We love Audie. Like, the whole Austin running community loves Audie Perez. But so I send people to Fleet Feet because I know they are so kind when you walk in. I know that you can try those shoes out. Like, if you go to a regular retail store, you can't get them dirty. You have to try it on a treadmill. And you just said running on a treadmill is different than running outside.
Very different.
It's very different.
Yeah. Yeah. I have 2 questions left for you.
Okay.
One is about the next era of Austin or Kyle, as well as the next era for the Love of Go. Where do you see 10 years from now? Where do you see Kyle? Where do you see the Austin running community? Where do you see for the Love of Go? What's next? Because you've done so much. I feel like you've maxed out the races that you can do. What's that mean?
So I think you always are encouraging people to go outside. Like, always, no matter whether you're in Austin or Kyle, you're always trying to get people to go outside. So I'm always going, even if I'm not directing anymore, I'm going to be looking for a starting line and who can come with me. Like, who can stay active with me? What's next for Austin, Kyle? I hope. So, side note, we went to Maine for a trip, and we went to go check out one of the rail to trail trails, which is where they
take the old railroad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're walking from one point to the other, and we're walking along, and we're literally walking across someone's driveway. Like, their house is right there, and it's an 8-foot wide trail, and there's people running and with their dogs and riding the bike. And Tom and I both were like, you could not do this in Texas. There is no way someone would let a trail be right across their front yard. Now, what was there first, the railroad or that house? Like, how did that happen? I don't know.
The railroad was probably there way earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe that house, maybe the person who had that house was somehow connected to the railroad, right? Like, you don't know. That is where I see a struggle with trying to connect everything and for multimodal with biking and walking and running, is that we have private property, and it's our private property.
And we're Texas, and we really like our private property.
Yes, you said at 4:30 in the morning, if I drop something off on the porch, is someone going to shoot me, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But then also on that same note is, would I, in that same position, like, somebody walks up on the porch and knocks on the door, I don't immediately open the door and like, hey, I'm like, who's at the door?
Yeah.
Were you expecting someone? Like, we're so... And for good reason, like, sometimes we're so quick to, like, we want to be secure and safe. But I hope that we are able to find ways to connect from Austin all the way down to San Antonio. Have you done any of the Mission Trail or any of the Riverwalk?
Yeah.
Okay, Riverwalk, not where all the restaurants are. Have you ever gone south on the Riverwalk? It turns into the most beautiful hike and bike trail.
I need to explore more. I've gone north, I think, actually.
Okay, probably up to Pearl,
yeah,
which is amazing. But Tom and I went and stayed on the Riverwalk for a weekend one weekend and purposely did not go to that circular area because we've gone there before. We hiked 7 miles all the way through the historic parts of San Antonio, through parks and all that. I would love it if that is what, like, you could pick a spot in Austin, and we're already seeing that, right? I don't know if you follow any of what Pamela LeBlanc posts. She was a former writer for Austin American-Statesman. She was like their fitness outdoor writer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Follow her on Facebook because she's always checking out the new trails. And she'll say, I started here and I was able to walk 3 miles to here. They haven't finished the next part. Todd would ride his bike from Kyle all the way up through into some of these trails until he couldn't ride anymore, and then you turn around and wait for that to open back up again. My hope is that, I guess I say my hope is that more people will go to the trails, but that more people practice proper trail conservation when they go to the trails. Like, pack it out. If you pack it in, pack it out.
Always leave no trace.
Your dog stuff, like your water bottles, all of that, like bring that all back out with you, so that the next person who walks in behind you gets that same pristine.
I love that. So I have one more question for you.
Okay.
You become really entrenched in Kyle. You've done a lot of things for the community. You and your husband, as well as your son, have grown up, essentially in this city. What's it going to take to keep you in Central Texas? Whether it's Kyle, whether it's Austin, what does the area have to continue to do well to keep you remaining a citizen here?
I think finding those little pockets of unique businesses or things to do. Just last night, we went to Patio Dolcetto in San Marcos. Take your wife.
Yeah, I have not heard of this. Okay.
So it's on Cheatham Street, and it is a wine bar, 21 and over, and they do pizzas and appetizers and wine and cider. And I mean, like, we were there last night and we were saying, if we didn't live in Kyle, we probably would live in San Marcos. Like, this stretch.
Yeah.
We just love being along here. And Kyle, when you'll have something new that will pop up, or Buda, something new will pop. Mudbugs downtown Buda.
I've heard, yes.
Really great restaurant. Even Torchy's, and like I said, I love Tex-Mex. I love Torchy's. They send me emails like 3 times a day.
There's one right around the corner from here if you need something.
Yes. So I think we are always open. Todd and I are always open to trying new things, and we'll go somewhere and we're like, oh, we're going to always come back here. But then something new will come.
City's so dynamic.
We're
it's
like,
changing.
okay, we're going to try over here. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have our favorites. Like, if you come to Kyle, we're going to Pisces.
Okay.
Like, we're just going to go to Pisces, like this hole-in-the-wall Mexican food place. But if you came back the next time, I wouldn't take you to Pisces again. We're going to go to Vaqueros. And then if you come back again, we're going to go to Texas Pie Company. Like, I want to show you all the different places, not the one single place. So I think as long as there are new things coming, or pockets, things that you've never discovered before. We did a race down in Lockhart. That whole downtown around the courthouse looks so different than when we lived there, all these little businesses. And that's what I think is so great about Austin, is you can do stuff in Austin, but you can make quick little day trips too to these little communities that have got their own cool stuff.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is the creativity and the entrepreneurism of this area is really what helps continue to make it dynamic.
People try it. And when I listen to your podcast and I'm listening to the people that have come to Austin or started in Austin, I think it was Saul Paul. Yes. He said, he was like, just try it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in this area, just try it. Because I think us being kind of the center point of so many things, like you've got government, you've got an outdoor world, you've got cycling, you've got running, you've got paddleboard, like all of these things coming together. There's probably 5 people at least who would be interested in what you're starting, right?
Yeah.
Like, just try it. And then if it doesn't work, try something else. I think that's one of the cool things, one of several cool things about Austin. And we talked about, you've talked about too, like Austin was founded on government. And so you really can't get mad when there's governmental things that are happening here.
Yeah.
No matter what your politics are, like, you really can't get mad. Like, you moved to the capital of Texas where
place,
it was founded for government. If you don't like government, but you like cows, go to Fort Worth. You know?
I'm hearing from you, just try running, just try Kyle, just try queso.
Yes.
Those are some of the lessons I learned today.
Just try it. Just try it.
Jennifer, thank you for showing us what it means to run with a purpose, literally. From your personal journey to your community impact, your story is a reminder that small frustrations, like at your elementary school, can lead to massive movements. Whether you're a runner, a neighbor, or someone just looking to make a difference, there's something inspiring in every step you've taken. To our listeners, if you've ever seen a fun run in Hays County or walked through a neighborhood park improved by grassroots efforts, chances are Jennifer and her team were behind it. Share this episode, sign up for your local 5K, I will be, and keep building a better Austin 1 mile, 1 moment, and 1 community at a time. Thanks for tuning in to Austin Eras.
Thanks for having us.
Austin Eras, featuring Adam Flagg, is brought to you by Collective Advisors. Collective Advisors offers investment advisory services through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Guests on Austin Eras are not affiliates of CWM LLC, and opinions expressed by guests may not reflect those of CWM LLC. This show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide specific legal, tax, or other professional advice. For a comprehensive review of your personal situation, always consult with a qualified professional.